And I feel like we, because this is Dead Parent Club, this particular Zoom. God, apologies if you like just sat down with a glass of wine for a Saturday to join Dead Parent Club. I feel like we should also say which parent. Should we do that? Should we introduce them slightly? So yeah, my dad died when I was 15. So I make the joke on my show that I'm DDC, which is Dead Dad Club. Nikesh, would you like to introduce your dead parent?
Uh, my mum. Yeah.
How old were you when your mum died?
So I was 30 in in a couple of weeks. It would have been 10 years since she died, and I've got that
Oh,
weird thing of like, I don't know if how you guys feel about significant dates, but I feel like I spend the months leading up to them going, it's just a day, don't make a big deal about it. Just a day, don't make a big deal about it. And then the day comes and you've spent so long telling yourself not to make a big deal out of it. The only thing left to do is make a big deal out of it. So yeah, she'll have been dead 10 years.
I we talk about this a lot on the show that I think anything that's like 5, 10, 15, 20. Don't ask me why, what the maths is. I think it hits you harder. But so, Livy, we should say, what dead parent are you bringing to the Dead Parent Club?
I'm
Sorry.
bringing my dead mother.
Dead mother. DMCs here. One DBC, one DMC.
Yes. I'm bringing my mum, who died when I was. I said this recently. I'm really rubbish on the dates and the ages. I'm fairly sure I was 25. I'm normally very good on figures, but when it comes to mum's death and her age and my age and the year, I've got a real blank over it. I was either 24 or 25 when she died. So about 8 years ago, I think. 7, 8 years ago.
Yeah. I mean, Nikish, it's a really interesting point to come back to. Like I found 10 hard. I found 20. Sorry, I hate saying this to people who are like behind me to be like, oh, 20 is awful, by the way. But that's just my experience. I found 20 really hard and I found 10 really hard as well. So like how many months away is it for you? Is it coming like pretty soon?
Weeks actually.
Oh, weeks. Yeah.
So I think a week on. Oh no, wait, hold on. This Sunday. This
This
Sunday.
Sunday. And are you what is your plan? Do you have a plan yet? Like, because I feel like people expect after 10 years or something, like you'll know what to do. But like even at 20, I didn't quite know what to do because every year is so different.
So I so usually on Sunday during lockdown, me and my friends have been doing like a dweeby boys watch a film on Zoom club.
Nice.
Um, but this Sunday people aren't around, so because I thought it was going to be a big day, I have basically treated myself to doing a writing masterclass with the amazing writer Garth Greenwell, because he's such an amazing stylist and like his sentences are so beautiful. And just because I've written like 5 novels, it doesn't mean I feel like I'm at the apex of my ability to write. So I just thought I'm going to take this horrible day and I'm going to treat myself to some learning. I'm going to learn from one of the best.
That's nice. I think that's a really nice idea. Whenever we talk about it on the Griefcast Twitter, I don't know if I even introduced the show properly at the beginning anyway. There's a podcast called The Griefcast. Nikesh and Olivia have both been on it, listened to their episodes. For like, if you want like behind the scenes of this Zoom, you can find out more. And yeah, people often ask me on Twitter, on the Griefcast Twitter, like, oh, what should I do on the day? And I often just retweet it because I'm like, what does everybody think? It's so different. But the sort of strong theme seems to be either treat yourself or like do something they would have liked. Like it has to be, but it has to be like you said, like this kind of like treat about what is a horrible day. So some people be like, oh, they really loved like a good roast, or they liked a pint, or they liked a curry, so we're going to go and do that. Or I want this, so I'm going to go and have a day by myself. Because I think it's funny that it's not really talked about until you experience it. But Livy, you said you're a bit opposite. Do you kind of, does the anniversary particularly bother you, or is it like it just passes for you?
No, it does bother me a bit. But I just, I'm always a bit hazy with the dates. And as I say, I'm normally like a very date person. I'm very good, I can remember the birthdays of everyone I was at school with and that sort of thing. But when it comes to these dates, they're just not there. And it was never quite clear which day Mum died on. She died in the house when she was alone, and it might have been either the 10th or the 11th. So that sort of makes it hazier. I think her death certificate's the 11th. So I used to celebrate it in a really rubbish way, which is I no longer smoke. I used to be a smoker. My mum was a lifelong smoker, had nothing to do with her death. So I used to just have a cigarette in memory of her when it was her anniversary. But smoking's not as fun when you don't do it regularly. It just makes you feel a bit sick and dizzy. So it's not actually a very good way of doing it, to be completely honest with you.
That's so funny because I'm a very heavy ex-smoker, and the thing that you do as a heavy ex-smoker is try and find excuses to have a cigarette. So I can completely understand being like,
no one can argue with a dead mum. They can't go, no, you mustn't have a cigarette. Because you go, well, I'm sorry, my mother's dead, so I think you'll find I'll be having a cigarette. But it's sort of.
It is gross, doesn't it? It's really gross if you don't smoke regularly. It just really is like you have to really force yourself to be like, what is this? Like, why did I do this?
Yeah, why am I doing it to myself? So I've pretty much stopped in that. Her ashes were scattered in the garden of the house we lived in all our lives, but we no longer have that house. So I kind of don't have anywhere to go to as well. And actually, retrospectively, I really wish I did. I wish there was somewhere that I could sort of do a little pilgrimage to or something like that to be close to her. I think that's one of the things that if I had decisions again, I would do differently, so that there was somewhere where I could go and just be a bit quiet with her.
That's really interesting because my dad's ashes were scattered like this place in Wales basically that he used to go to a lot as a child and we used to go to a lot, but I haven't been back there for because all my Welsh relatives are dead. Like they've all everyone moved and there's not anybody there. There's a few. I mean, I really would be amazed if they're watching Zoom, but 90-year-old relatives, just in case. There are a few left, but they're very old. Nikesh, do you have somewhere you can go for your to honour her and remember her in that way?
Yeah, I guess lockdown has made it harder to kind of grieve together as a family.
Yeah.
So I no longer live in the same city as my family. I live in Bristol. They all live in northwest London still, and it really takes a global pandemic to make you realise what you will and won't drive halfway across the country for. And, so I don't really have anywhere to go. We scattered my mum's ashes in the Ganges, where the mountains meet the Ganges, at the source of the Ganges. And my mum, I don't know. I think I just find that the best thing to do on those days is just to keep distracted, or to not. I think I spend a lot of time trying not to romanticize it. That's why I've booked myself to do this masterclass, because I feel like it'll give me something else to do to kind of throw my focus elsewhere.
Yeah. I think that's interesting that she's in a different country. Is that fine, or do you feel are you ever I wish I could be in that place, or because I don't, obviously Wales is very different, but I don't feel too bad that I don't have somewhere to go, because I guess in comparison to Livy, Wales was always somewhere we had to go to, and it was like a journey, and so I'm sort of used to it being far away. But how does it feel, Nikesh? So it is that far away, or do you feel like it's good? That's where an amazing place for her to have her ashes scattered.
I found it difficult until, weirdly, I was rewatching an episode of Desmond's, the sitcom. So this amazing artist called Selena Thompson had done a show called Salt, which was where she went on a cargo ship and traced the transatlantic slave trade, and before she actually went on the voyage in order to do the research, her grandmother died. In fact, potentially brilliant guest for the Griefcast. And I went to see an early version of her play, and she projects a scene from an episode in Desmond's onto this wall of salt, and it just really made me think. Basically, in the episode, Desmond isn't in it, for a lot of the episodes. Something has happened. He's in hospital, and Shirley and Pork Pie, his wife Shirley and his best friend Pork Pie, are sitting in a cafe or a pub talking, and Shirley says to Pork Pie, you know, neither of us ever expected to die. Neither of us ever expected to die here. We expected to come over here, make our money, and then go back to die in Guyana. But the thing is, and it's like, and I just sort of realised in that moment watching that thing that actually that was the immigrant's dream. They didn't necessarily want to come to the UK and live out their years in the UK. They wanted to come here, make their money, and go home and die close to the source. And then Shirley goes on to say that, you know, the tragedy is she doesn't want to go back to Guyana because her home is here now, her family's here, her community's here, her children are here. And it really made me think that I think my mother would have really liked to have died in India. She would have really liked to have gone back at some point. So the fact that that's where she rests, that means something.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's absolutely amazing that you had that experience. And we talk a lot about on the show about ritual, and I do think that's what we're all talking about, really, isn't it? Like, if you don't have a place for ritual, and I think it's just so interesting. Like, so my dad was in the wardrobe for 10 years. My mum just kept him in the wardrobe in his ashes, not literally. And so I think for us, it was always a bit vague. Like, we didn't, there wasn't a grave that we went to every year. And I guess maybe that's what you mean, Livy, is like, because it was a house you used to live in, that was a home, and now you can't go there. So it's like, how do you create a ritual when your ritual has gone? Or, you're finding rituals in different places. Is that what you've had to sort of discover, Livy?
Yeah, although, to be candid, I'm not sure how good I've been at that. And I think that I have changed a lot, and my life has changed a lot since my mum died. When she died, I was basically single. I just started seeing this guy, but I was basically single. I was still a barrister. I was living like a kind of semi-chaotic mid-20s life in London. And now I feel, and also doing a job that I wasn't very happy in, and now I feel, settled in a variety of different ways. And I don't really think that any of the things I've necessarily done to remember her has kind of stayed the test of time in a way in which it's become a ritual. I think writing the book was a tribute to her. I mean, it was also a lot about me, let's be completely honest, but it was sort of me putting my love for her and our relationship into this this physical object that I hoped would stand the test of time, and kind of shouting it from the rooftops a bit. So while I've been quite rubbish at rituals, I do see the book as a testament to her, a testament to our relationship, and that makes it feel like it's grounded in reality, because even if I start to forget, it's still there. But I still lack rituals. I think I would love to have a family, and I think if I had a family, I would want to find a way to make sure that any children of mine that never met her felt they knew about her in quite a tangible way. So I think I need to find rituals in my life.